Even from yesterday.
Thank you.
So the senator did vote for Sonny Perdue, and I think some of you had a question of why he voted, why my boss voted for Sonny Perdue.
He's always a bit nerdy.
And like I said, what she's trying to do is gauge each nomination individually. She did consult with individuals who work in agriculture in Hawaii, and they were not necessarily opposed to the nomination. They said that because of Sonny Perdue's background coming from Georgia, he has knowledge of like specialty crops, which we have here. So they thought that they could work with him. I think there is some concerns about nutrition programs and where he stands on that. So it's
took
not
down
something.
Michelle Obama's whole.
Yeah. So it's not something we're going to just let go. But that was the reason. She wasn't completely opposed to him. She feels that she could at least try to work with him. So
I think that we hold a different perspective.
Yes, I know I know your perspective.
We do.
So I just want to give you an explanation.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I think it's important for her to understand that, the power there's a power in saying no.
Yes.
No.
Yeah,
and it's working for the Democrats.
And
there's a reason the budget has gone as far as it has.
And there's a fear too that I have that he throws a lot of really terrible candidates at you. So the first one that doesn't seem as terrible all of a sudden seems credible, and that's not. The line can't get shifted over terrible.
I'd also be curious to know, when you say that Senator Hirono was meeting with people who are involved in agriculture here, how many of those were small farmers?
She talked to. One person she talked to was Scott Enright, the chair of the Hawaii
Scott would know.
Department of Agriculture, because we try to cover as broad a brush as possible, but that was one of the individuals that she talked to back home that I was aware of.
Did you consult with anybody from any veterinarians here?
I do not know.
Because as a veterinarian, in the veterinary community, it's well known that he is very corrupt.
Okay.
He's not a good guy.
I wonder if he had any input into preventing Argentina from giving the award to Jimmy Carter, who's surviving brain cancer at 90, whatever. Did you hear about that one?
Yep.
Oh, Jesus.
It just seems like not a time to be giving people the benefit of the
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, just again, we've been emphasizing, I think you were just saying upstairs in Brian Schatz's office, like, this is not a normal time, this is not normal politics. So in normal times, of course you have to sometimes be some give and take flexibility and giving people the benefit of the doubt. But anytime you give someone from this administration the benefit of the doubt, boom, look what happens within like days. Just like,
exactly.
Taking away nutrition from kids, come on.
Yeah, and our representatives represent us, and we are, as you've said, like, you've never had this much people coming out and being political and talking to your office, and our voice is that we're fighting, but she has the vote. You know what I mean? So we want to see that just as much as we're doing.
Okay.
And she's been very good about, I was looking through her Twitter, she's been great about calling out like discrimination on immigrants, which has been awesome. Also, we want her to make sure that she's vocal on the ACA repeal that they're trying to push through again too. That this is not going to be good for lower.
She is going to stand behind ACA. she says it's not a perfect bill.
Of course.
Anything as comprehensive as ACA needs to evolve over time, right? But again, she is right now the only member of the delegation that voted for ACA when it initially passed the Congress. So I don't think it's something that she's going to go back on. She's working with the state to make sure that our prepaid healthcare act, right, is not adversely affected. Though the Prepaid Healthcare Act isn't perfect either. So because it's because of the risk exemption, it's kind of locked in time.
Sure.
So particularly we hear from on the benefit side what you need to do, what benefits can be provided, but we also hear from the small business side as far as the employer share. Is that when it was passed back in the 70s, it was more parity between what the employee and the employer. But because it was locked in time, it's more so now the employer, because of the administrative burden, will pick up almost the entire share of the health premium. So,
and I don't think that any of us have a fear that she's going to vote against the ACA, but we want her voice, So we want.
And we appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
very
yeah,
happy
absolutely.
that she's
Absolutely.
you know, a strong
Absolutely.
supporter, but we'd love to hear even more.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we really appreciate Mazie.
Yeah, and Mike Pence has just gone to the Senate to pave the way for the Senate vote to support the new Affordable Care Act. That's what he was in the news this morning.
Okay.
He thinks it's gonna get to the Senate.
Has to get through the House
It
first.
has to get through the House first.
Yeah.
But my point is, they're thinking ahead
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Some of the questions asked yesterday by individuals who came here were talking about some of the anti-immigrant issues or voices that are coming out. So one in particular was voice. So the senator actually had an opportunity today, I think, to talk to someone from the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice.
Great.
A gentleman by the name, it's Aaron Tenney. It's a gentleman, but Mr. Tenney, and he claims, I mean, what the senator said, and I can send it to Paul so you guys can see it, is that her concern with the activation or the establishment of this voice office is that we're not being put in a position to demonize immigrants, many of whom are victims of hate crimes by this. And so she was asking the Department of Justice, what do you know about this? And for the record, he says that he does not know about the voice office or the establishment of the voice office. So, so what the senator asked of the Department of Justice is to pay attention for the reason for the voice office, and that they have to scrutinize if it endangers people, and particularly if it puts out inaccurate information as it relates to immigrants. And that she's very concerned about what information can be just put out, and particularly regarding individuals and children and families. So we will continue to follow up on that, but it just seems like, again, the coordination between the different components of government are not really.
As a follow-up to that, would it be helpful or useful for the senator for people to be calling the Department of Justice and asking them to look into the voice office on the public comment line?
Well, let me follow up with our staff first to see if we want to follow up with an actual letter or something like that, following up on the testimony and saying, okay, next time you meet with DHS, what information did they share with you about the voice office or something, and that the senator then can reiterate her concerns and see how Department of Justice, we're not necessarily going to talk to DHS about it, how you talk to Department of Justice about how they're going to respond to the concerns the senator raised.
Okay, so that's fine. I think we've
we could do that.
Yeah, we've made it quite clear. I think that we can get the Department of Justice to answer the phones with aloha. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I'm really glad she's doing this. I mean, we brought up in Schatz's office that we feel very much in line with the propaganda that he's trying to push, that immigrant populations are committing crimes, or immigrant populations, and we talked to him about, like, Douglas Chin shared at his panel that when he had a meeting with all the attorneys and Jeff Sessions is telling them crime rates are up, murder rates are up, to people that know crime rates are not up and know that murder rates are not up, and saying that it's due to illegal immigrants, and so the whole Trump campaign, like his election, has been trying to propagate this idea that there's crime up, murder up, and it's due to illegal immigrants, and it's creating a vulnerable community where now they can't go to the police because the police are working with ICE. So these people can be victimized easily.
And then there was a question.
Thank you for following up on the voice.
Yeah.
And not just following back to us, but having our senator check. That's wonderful.
Well, she did that even without me asking.
Okay.
She's
ahead of us.
She's on the same page with you all.
We're glad to hear it.
The Mayday folks who were here yesterday.
And there was also a question asked, basically from information that was shared at Senator Schatz's office, that there was a no wall provision in the omnibus. What we were able to find, or what I was able to find working with our DC staff, is basically in the language, and it just says, that they're provided monies to just replace existing pedestrian vehicle border fencing along the southwest border using previously deployed and operation effective designs. But if you look further down, I looked in the next provide section, I can give this to you. It calls upon the Department of Homeland Security to report within 90 days to present a risk-based plan for improving security along the borders of the United States, including the use of personnel, fencing, other forms of tactical infrastructure, and technology. And it has a whole lot of things. So while it says don't spend it, it's telling them, okay, if you want to do this, what is your plan going to be? So
It's not dead yet.
no.
No.
So I will I'll put this in
Thank
PDF
you.
so you guys
Thank
can
you.
see this.
Thank you.
That's the way I look at it. Again, I'm not an attorney, but in looking at it, it is correct in one sense, but it doesn't.
But encourages an opening door.
There is a pathway
Yeah.
that's we still have to follow or watch, I should say.
Yes, but I think it's effectively a nice poke in Trump's eye.
Big time.
It's a, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because he was trying to hold the budget hostage to
That's
the wall,
right.
so it's great.
So, and then the other question that was asked, and I'm trying to get, I thought I had clarity on this answer, but apparently I don't, was on the Senate investigation, an update on the Senate investigation. And so I thought I had a clear response for you guys, but I have to come back to you because on one side I'm hearing there is staff dedicated, and others people are telling me they're under-resourced. So I just need to make sure. But I heard from our side there's not necessarily a specific timeline. They are trying to do their due diligence on doing the investigation, but they have not yet called any witnesses from the Trump administration. I think they're just trying to go over what information they have available to them right now based on previous reports. So, but I need to come back to you on that one.
Okay.
And that remains really, really important.
Yes.
Yes.
Because, as I said, Schatz's office, whatever du jour, crisis gets created, then the things that he's trying to divert our attention from get forgotten. But we're not going to forget those things
Well,
because you're talking about the institution of the office of the presidency and the Constitution. So we have to stay focused and vigilant on that.
Yeah, we appreciate it because when Mazie spoke to us, she said that everything else has been a distraction and that
Totally.
she is going to, and so we appreciate her focus on that.
Yes.
It says Sally Yates is going to testify before Senate panel next week.
Excellent.
Correct. Former acting Attorney General Sally Yates and the former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper will come before the Judiciary Committee.
Okay.
So we
It
will
will
have
get canceled.
The
We'll have a-
Judiciary
Right.
Committee
we'll have a different perspective.
is
yeah.
different than the Investigation Committee.
Correct. The Judiciary Committee is the
Intelligence
committee
Committee.
Intelligence.
of the committee that Senator Hirono sits on.
Right.
So that again oversees generally more Department of Justice, but that was where this individual from the Department of Civil Rights. So what she's trying to do is making sure the checks and balances are in place because within the Department of Justice you have a Civil Rights Division that is supposed to look after to make sure that the citizens are protected by the laws.
Oh, okay.
So
We're supposed to talk about Flynn. That's what the article says.
okay.
Well, that's a start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone should.
All right. So that's what I got. So.
Awesome. I think actually I've been working our points into our discussion.
Yeah.
So all I say is just to make sure you guys got your sharp questions for Saturday for the senator. So
Yes.
Yes.
she's looking forward to speaking with everyone.
Great.
What's gonna be the format as far as questions? Is it gonna be
Yeah.
open?
I mean, it'll be
Open
open.
mic?
It'll be open. We just have to, as I think we discussed here previously, is how we circulate the people who attend versus people who either write questions at the event or submit questions ahead of time by email. But we will circulate in a fashion that it's. I mean, our intent is to be fair.
Will questions be selected to be answered, or will it be, how will that happen?
I mean, the senator truly wants to do it in a way that it is, lack of a better term, organic. So it's not. She doesn't want it to be scripted.
Good.
Okay.
So
Good.
We appreciate that. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
so you'll see myself and Kehao there. We will probably be in the audience
This
as well too.
And it's 6 p.m. when on Saturday?
Nope.
I have 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
I'm sorry.
It's May
There we
6th
go.
at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. because I got to send
And
an email
then
out.
it's also
Kamuki High School.
at Kamki High School.
Yeah.
And there'll be parking there. We'll have the JROTC students directing folks to the cafeteria. And then on Kauai will be at Chiefus Kamakahele Middle School at 3 o'clock. So
I got to send an email.
so we're going to try to start as promptly as we can to 10 o'clock. We'll actually get started a little bit before doing some of the guidelines that I'll probably go over with everyone. Have the senator come on and take as many questions as we can during the time that we have.
Perfect.
So
Awesome. Okay, anybody?
No, Jan has some
Yes,
specific
Jan.
stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so just some questions about bills that Senator Hirono has or has not co-signed.
Okay.
So as you know, millions of people marched around the world for the tax march. And since Trump introduced his tax plan last week and taxes are on the minds of everybody, we still would like Trump to release his taxes so we will know how he and his family will benefit from the tax plan he has. So there are two bills, Senate Bill 65, Presidential Conflict of Interest Act, and Senate Bill 26, Presidential Tax Transparency Act, that we'd like her to consider co-sponsoring.
Okay.
And also in line with, again, trying to keep Trump honest, there's a
Yeah.
again, you know, this is not normal what he's doing. So the Mar-a-Lago Act, which stands for Making Access Records Available to Lead American Government Openness Act, which opens up the visitor logs to the White House and also his swamp in Mar-a-Lago, and that's Senate Bill 721. And another couple ones, Senate Bill 27. This is a bill to establish an independent commission to establish and report on the facts regarding the extent of the Russia official and unofficial cyber operations and other attempts to interfere in the 2016 election. And other purposes, the other purposes is vague, and again, would like her to take a look at that. And lastly, another one I found is, there's no Senate bill, but there's a House bill, no taxpayer funding for the Wall Act. It would be nice if she might consider introducing a Senate bill. Again, it's nice that the current continuing resolution doesn't include any funding for the wall, but to have a bill introduced into Congress that says specifically no taxpayer funding for the wall would be a nice show of solidarity.
What's the HR bill on that one?
HR bill is 1477. And if you say that, you know, she has, these are symbolic, I looked up how many bills she's signed, and it's 26 pages long. She's co-sponsored over 100 bills. She's introduced 1 amendment, 5 resolution, and 8 bills. So I think she could lend her support these that we think are really important to showing that what Trump is doing is not normal.
Yes.
And if she's been really awesome. I've been watching her a lot on C-SPAN. I've been watching more C-SPAN than I ever have in my life. She's been really awesome, and she's just been kicking butt. And if she could get her support and the support of her colleagues to get some of these bills passed, so that when we flip the Senate and hopefully the House in 2018, some of these things will happen. And especially we need to, if you watch what Trump did on his 100th day at his rally in Pennsylvania, we need to show those people that he's full of malarkey, and convince them that he's lying and cheating. Because the rest of America, the people who already know that, we don't need to convince them. We need to convince the 98% of people who still vote for him that he's a con. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And our follow-up to that would be if the senator doesn't want to co-sign or
Right.
sponsor some of these bills, then we'd like to know why, and
Okay.
we'd also like to know what she would rather do instead.
Exactly.
Right.
So I
Like,
think
what's her alternative? If she
Right.
thinks that these bills aren't going to be useful for whatever reason, then what does she have? What can she tell us that she's doing or suggest for us to do that's going to have some of the same effects?
and I think we spoke with Schatz's office that we were going to revisit this next week
Right.
to get information what they got from him, and so
Right.
we'll do the same
Right.
with this office next week as well.
And we'll keep calling. I called the DC offices, and I'll keep calling to urge her to take a look at these, and we'll ask on Saturday if we get.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
do a daily call log just to let you know.
Okay,
The
yes.
entire staff
Yeah.
gets to see it,
Yep.
so,
Yep. Okay.
so
That's
I
good.
will see
Okay.
every call that we log, and I'll try to categorize it. If the callers will be specific enough to tell us on the specific issue, pro or con, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome.
And to follow up, Jan has been a lot more specific as to my request,
Yes.
which is, you know, no tax cuts without,
Tax return.
with tax returns. You've been far more articulate, so I'll include my answer in her answer.
You know, I have not had a chance to ask the senator that specific question.
But I think Jan
Yeah.
includes that.
Yeah.
It's getting taxed.
So I'm sure she'd be prepared to answer that question on Saturday.
Did somebody over there have something to say?
I did. I'm not sure, but I think some of those bills are a lot broader than others.
Mhm.
And I think it's an important distinction that he not be called upon to not just release the taxes, but the Conflict of Interest Act, I think,
Huge.
is a lot broader.
Yeah.
Because it requires full financial disclosure.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the tax returns alone won't reveal what
Right.
people
Really
are
won't.
hoping it will.
Yeah.
The extent of his involvement and the conflicts where he's probably violating the emoluments clause. So
Yeah.
That's different.
if she could focus on that more, I think
Okay.
be way more helpful.
If she had to pick and choose and prioritize.
I think it's really important to understand that at least the conflict of interest is very difficult for him to resolve.
It is.
He's not gonna want to give up billions,
Mhm.
even if an ethics committee comes in and says this is what it's gonna take,
Mhm.
he's not gonna wanna do it. So there's paths out, but probably not for him. That's out of office.
Okay.
So that's the biggest picture.
Mhm.
And the same thing with the Russia investigation. That's why I'm impeachment. We need to stop all this other discussion and get back to day one.
Exactly.
Get rid of them and then
Exactly.
move on.
Mhm.
So the longer it goes on, the more it becomes, it loses its immediacy.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Every day that goes by, especially if it reaches back to pre-election.
Well,
You know, once he's been there for 2 years, I get Watergate took forever and blah, 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 blah. But it just loses steam. It should be front and center.
Mhm.
And it's so easy, you know, and then every time it comes up, he goes and threatens North Korea or
Plus,
whatever.
they need.
I mean,
Yeah. He gets more time to make more distractions, right?
yeah, you know it's big when you start to pull the big plugs.
Mhm.
It's just to disclose it. At this point now, it has to be something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go to these lengths to hide nothing,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? And if it really is nothing, it's distracting. So either way, we need to get rid of it.
Mhm. Okay.
So this slow timeline is not, I don't understand.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know how the U.S. is going to gain back its reputation without action from the other branches of
Yeah.
government.
Yeah. I mean, there has.
I do not know how we can possibly regain our stature in the world.
Yeah. I mean, we have to. The world has to see some accountability.
We
for
have
it.
to show that,
Mhm.
or we're already in trouble. So what's the pathway to reestablish what we have?
Mhm.
It has to come from our representatives in the House and the
Yes.
Senate.
Yes.
Judiciary's doing a great job. Judiciary's holding up their end.
And let's remember, this should be a nonpartisan issue.
It should
If we
be.
had a Democratic president who engaged in that kind of corruption, I don't think any of us would be sitting down and going, oh, well, at least he or she's a Democrat, no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem, I don't care who it is.
Yes.
And so the Republicans, I don't think, should be wanting to consider themselves the party of corruption.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Presumably, somewhere hidden in this country are some decent people who are Republicans.
Where are the honorable?
I mean, really, like
Where
this.
are they?
Let's be honorable. We can disagree on a whole host
Right.
of, fiscal issues, social
Right.
issues, whatever. But be a decent human being, and to hide conflicts of interest and to collude with foreign governments, there is no definition
Right.
of decency that can,
Right.
have a Venn diagram crossing over.
Well, you're frankly too nice. I want to make it a partisan issue because I think I want to get as many Republicans stuck to this ugly tar bait. Have them vote not to go after conflicts of interest, not to hide on Russia. We need a cleansing of the people who have sold their souls.
I think that
to
there.
be-
I think that
Right?
there's.
And that's what
individuals and not necessarily.
I understand, but there are people in leadership who we need to make a stand. If you're covering up for Trump's taxes, if you're covering up for illegal bribes in the emolument clause, let's put them on record.
Yep.
So they can, I
Right.
didn't know it was happening.
And,
So-
and that's why the vote on those bills is important before
Right.
the 28 election. So if
Yeah.
a list of Republicans votes doesn't support those bills, that becomes a tool for the Democrats. So, you know, where's the Democratic Party in their strategy? They ought to be pushing this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that before Trump, there was a level of corruption that happened in the dark.
Right.
And since then, like, a lot of this has been exacerbated, and, like, it's in the light, and, like,
Yep.
we all see it. And so, you know, and that's the issue with our foreign policy and our standing in the world, is that there needs to be some accountability. Like, you can't act like it's not happening anymore.
Right. I'm from America, I'm here to help you.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any other talking points anyone wants to bring up? No?
Keep at it.
All right, thank
Keep
you.
at it.
Yes, thank you.
I only spur my boss on. She